Enough about that. Questions, please. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In interviews, I guess a lot of times your interviewer might ask you something negative about yourself, or if you have a flaw of some sort.
Okay.
I guess the cliche answer is to say that I'm an overachiever, or that I work too hard. Is that really how you should answer that question? Or should you just answer truthfully?
Are you an overachiever?
Yeah, I care too much, right? Who wants to answer that?
I think it depends on the question.
Yeah. I mean, what's your greatest limitation? I think, the easy question for you, the easy answer is what's your greatest limitation? I don't have enough experience. I got a lot of desire. I got desire. Nothing I'd rather do than work here at this job for you doing X, because I think it would be the neatest opportunity, and I think I'd be great at it, but I don't have experience. That's an easy answer. You can use that for a few years. It to be you're really in trouble.
Yeah, to me, that's not a question I would necessarily ask people in this room coming out of school because of that. Because you may not know what your weaknesses are with regard to a workplace. It's very, very different from school. But I think it is, to be honest and say, I'm not sure. I don't have a lot of experience in a workplace, and that makes me very nervous.
You can also do a thing like I worked a summer in a factory, and it was an aluminum die-cast parts place, and it was furnaces with 1,400 degrees in there, and there were these guys working alongside me, and they said they wanted to go from a summer job into a permanent job, and I said, you can have it. This is not for me. And so if I were asked that question, I might be tempted to say something like, well, I've learned enough about myself to know that gritty, grimy labor is not for me. I'm more into the cerebral. Okay, something like that. Something that's kind of not when you're applying for a law firm. You're not going to be working with gritty, grimy stuff. So it's a real natural kind of easy thing to say. It's something like that. I think.
You say it depends on the firm?
Yeah. I just keep bobbing them up.
One other observation, and Catherine alluded to it in her interview process. You're going to, I think, see more interviewers doing situational kind of questions to you. And what they're really trying to do is to pull out both the positives and maybe some potential negatives. And by you relating to a situation that you've been involved in. So, if somebody's asking you a question that might relate to some of your weaknesses, you can talk about those and talk about what you're doing to try to make that into a positive to grow. So, don't let it become negative for you. Make it into a positive.
Can I make one quick comment? Sure. Just while I'm thinking of it, send a thank you note and follow up with the person that interviewed with you. Also, if you haven't found work, or if you got into a job and didn't like it, and maybe you were on the market again a little bit later, check back in. I know my situation changes frequently, and a lot of times I'll meet somebody fantastic that I just can't hire, and 2 weeks later, someone will give notice, and I'll assume that you've already found another job, and I might not track you down. I might not have the time to find you again. Shoot me a note, let me know that you're still looking, because it might be ideal for me.
One of the key indicators of that I found, and this was in the law firm world, was you did the interview well, they gave you a business card and said, call if you got any questions. Then that was sort of a vote of confidence, and they were inviting you to do that sort of thing. And you may come in second, and there's no shame in that, because number one may not work out, that happens, or position number two may come. Oh, what are the questions?
On that, how frequent is too frequent to remind someone you still need a job?
Good question.
How frequent is too frequent to remind? When do you become annoying by it?
Well, that's really where, as you're leaving the interview or you're doing the follow-up, you're always asking the interviewer, what's an appropriate time for me to follow up? When would you like me to follow up? Always get them to commit to you. Don't say, well, I'll follow up with you in a week or two. Because then you put yourself in a position where you begin to feel like you're just pestering the
very end of the interview, before they say thank you out the door, really say, okay, what are our next steps from here? And they will outline them for you. And if it's, we'll call you, and if you don't hear from them in 3 days, wait till the 4th meeting and call them. That before you leave, always have that piece taken care of.
I think you could switch it up too. You could call one week, and then next week send an email that says, here, click on this link to my blog to hear about the adventures of my job search. Something like that. And then switch it up, give them different methods of keeping in touch with you.
Choose your generation to do that kind of thing. I think a senior VP with a lot of silver hair may find that annoying. A bright young industrial psychologist may think that's a really great thing, and that each are fine, but be prepared. What other questions? Yes, ma'am.
If you interview for a job and you are not offered the position, is it appropriate to ask for feedback as to how the interview went and as to why they went with somebody else instead?
It's always appropriate to ask, depending on the nature of the company. A small shop like ours, where we're under religious exception, we may, because we try to take care of people in the church, tell you, and do so in a frank but we think caring way. You may not, but we really do. On the other hand, if you interview with CarMax, 15,000 employees, Stonewall, corporate Stonewall. There's a layer of employment lawyers who are saying, So you can ask, but you never know what
you might want to try the approach of what suggestions would you have for me in my job search? So that way you're not asking about that specific company's policies and what they did, but just give me some general feedback on what you would suggest for me going forward.
And same thing, if are there other jobs open up at the company if you really want to work at that company? I mean, ask if they can pass your name or your resume to whoever may be openings in that department or area. I don't know if we've ever given feedback if someone hasn't.
They don't get you up to liability.
Right, so we've always said, thanks so much for having your resume, or if we like the candidate and didn't get it, then we will then pass them on to someone else who's hiring, and then you can make your own determination if that's the job that you want to take. So.
I think since we started 5 minutes, do we have 5 more minutes, or do we need to stop? Okay, 5 more minutes. What other questions? Yes, sir.
Do you have any pointers specifically for phone interviews?
Stand up when you're talking.
And look in the mirror when you're talking.
And wear clothes when you're talking.
I feel like it's amazing how different your voice is if you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're speaking, standing up, than if you're sitting down at the phone.
And I think smile when you're on the phone, it comes across in your voice.
Good question.